Well, good morning. It's Thursday, May the 26th, and welcome back to the shop. I know it's been a long time since I put a video together, but that's because since the completion of the car a couple of months back, I've had to get a lot of things done to it. First off, had to get it certified, right? So you have to find somebody who can certify an older classic car. You know, that's actually a bit of a challenge. The next thing is I had to get the alignment done on the car, and of course had to get it plated. And then I took it out for its maiden voyage and of course discovered noises and bumps and squeaks and all sorts of issues and leaks. So like I said, had to address those as well. So that's why a little bit of a delay, but the day is finally here. This car is ready to drive. So why don't we take a walk around it? And I'm going to show you a couple of things I've done, not only in the actual restoration of a 68 Mustang, but some of the things that we can do to improve the safety and drivability of the car as well, because we really want to drive this car. I want to take it across Canada. I want to take it across the US. And in order to do that, I want to make sure we're safe. And of course, I want to make sure the car is reliable as well. Because if we all remember, 2.5 years ago when we started this journey, the car looked like this. And as you can remember, we pretty well had to cut the back end of the car off, right? It was all rotted out. And the front frame rails were rotted out, and a lot of patching was done. We had to bring this car back from the brink, to be very honest with you. But before I get started, I just wanted to apologize for the generator you hear in the background. A storm had hit southern Ontario about 5 days ago. In fact, they think it was a tornado actually touched down about 50-60 kilometers from where I live. And those winds came through like a freight train, and they took out hydro poles. They've taken out hydro lines. So we're 5 days without power. I'm hoping we're going to get it back in the next 2 or 3 days, but thank goodness for the old generator running in the background, so I do apologize for the noise. Okay, so let's start with a walk around. So the car is completed in Acapulco blue. We're running the fog lights up in front, which are also connected to the ignition, which means when the car is running, they will be on as part of a daytime running light. We're using the standard steel stamped rims with the stainless steel trim rings and of course the GT caps. The interior is completed in the same blue that would have left the factory. So you have the two-tone blue with the center console, manual transmission, and again, I'll get into that in a few minutes. And as far as the safety features, as you can see, we've got some headrests and we have some shoulder harnesses. Again, I'll get into that in a few minutes. And then when we come around the back of the car, we're running the GT gas cap. And then, of course, we come around the other side. And as you can see, the C-stripe has been applied to both sides. And again, finishing off in the front left of the car. Okay, so now what makes the car different? So let me unlock the car. By unlocking the car, the system sets up a 30-second timer, which turns on the front lights so you can approach the car at night. It also turns on all the interior lights. But I do have to open the door, because if I do not open the door within 30 seconds, the alarm will rearm itself. Now that remote also then, as I said, turns on the lights for 30 seconds. And then once I get into the car and turn the ignition on, those lights go back out. All right, so I've shown you the things that we've done to restore the car the way it was back in '68. Now let's talk about some of the things we've done to bring it into a more modern era. So number one are the headrests. Obviously this car did not come with headrests, but we added them because obviously if the car gets rear-ended, the last thing I want to get is whiplash. So again, it is a safety feature that we've added those. The next thing I talked about earlier is that we put in a 3-point harness or a shoulder strap. Now that again is protecting us because these cars didn't have airbags, and they certainly, you know, if you hit your head on the windshield or on the dashboard, that wasn't good. So again, we've gone with a shoulder harness system. The other thing we've done to the car, and maybe not so much with safety, but what we did is we upgraded the seats. We put in power seats. We went to a wrecker, picked up a couple of seats, reupholstered those seats into the 68 upholstery. The other thing we've done to the cars is that we added power windows. Now this is so that when you're driving along and let's say it starts raining, I can simply pull over, pull the release, the power top comes up, and then I can simply put all 4 windows up. I don't have to run around and crank 4 windows up. Makes it a lot more convenient to put the windows up and down. Now the next thing is the rear view mirror. That is actually a dash cam plus backup camera. Now the other thing you're going to notice is that I swapped out the steering wheel. The original steering wheel on this car was 16 inches in diameter, And it was the same steering wheel regardless if the car had power steering or not. Now this car does have power steering, so I don't need a big 16-inch wheel. So this 14-inch wheel does perfect. I can still steer the car easily, but then it gives me more room because it's a smaller wheel. I have more room between the seat and the wheel, so it makes it more comfortable to drive. The other thing you're going to notice is that the car has a 5-speed, not a 4-speed. So what we've done is we put the 5 gears into it, so when we go into overdrive on the highway, the RPMs are going to drop way down. Now, speaking of tachometers, what I've done is I put a 2-inch tachometer where the clock would normally go. Now, of course, this car does not have a clock in it, so I put the tach there because, again, this car didn't come with a tach. It came with the standard gauge cluster of its time. Now, what else have we done? Well, what we've done is we've installed an aftermarket stereo. So you can see the kick panel speakers are up in the bottom. I painted them out so you can hardly see them. The head unit is an aftermarket Bluetooth unit, which looks like an original piece, but again, it is a Bluetooth, so it connects to my phone and my navigation. So here's a shot of the car from the back, and then let's drop into the trunk. So what we've done, of course, is we have a spare tire because, let's face it, if you're going to drive a car, you have to have one of those. The other thing people are going to notice who may have been following my channel is that I've switched out my Rockford Fosgate for a JL Audio. Now, this is an amplifier I've owned for about 10 years. And the JL Audios are unique in that the rail voltage stays consistent depending on load. And the reason I did that is because I actually changed the subwoofer. As we all know, I created this custom enclosure, which is about a 0.6 or 0.7 cubic foot enclosure. This subwoofer is designed specifically for that enclosure, so it really moves now. It really pops well. And of course, we all recognize my EQX. As I mentioned earlier, I used to compete with car audio, which is probably why I'm half deaf today, back in the 80s. And this is the only piece of equipment I kept from that era. And for nostalgia, I had installed it. It's a fantastic unit. It really allows me to tune the system. But like I said, it's something that I just wanted to put into the car because it brings back memories of a time long ago. So let's go take a look under the hood. So the first thing you're going to notice is that the car has hood locks. Now, these aren't the hood pins. There's no pin that goes through here. These are actually locks. That allows me now to lock the hood. So I hate to say it, if we're taking this car across Canada and the US, if it's going to be sitting in a parking lot overnight, I want to make sure nobody can get underneath the hood and do stuff. So, of course, we can lock it. Now, the first thing you're going to notice is I've left the engine bay rather stock. You know, we made a couple of improvements for drivability, but other than that, it's the standard 302. We've dressed it up. It's been rebuilt. We put a little bit more cam in the car just to give it a little bit of a bump. Why not? We've added air conditioning, as you know, and I know it's a convertible, but in the US, if you're driving through Death Valley in the middle of August, you need air conditioning. The other thing I've done is that is an aluminum 3-core radiator. Now, it's oversized, which means it's spilling over a little bit, but you know what? The bigger the better when it comes to radiators. So that's the key as well. So, like I said, now we've also added a Monte Carlo bar. Now, that is to keep those shock towers apart. The shock towers on these cars did flex, and in hard cornering, you would lose a bit of your alignment. So the Monte Carlo bar is actually just going to keep that front end in check so it doesn't sway. And as I said before, after I got the alignment done just now, this car runs straight and it is solid. So I'm really happy with that work as well. And again, just to mention a few things that are not stock. Obviously, the air conditioning is not stock. That is a washer pump, which is not stock. The old cars used to have a manual pump. And of course, a power distribution block here. That is for the amplifier in the trunk. And also, as you know, we put a new fuse box in this car. So again, we have to deliver a little bit more power to the fuse box than the old car used to as well. And of course, finally, for safety, we've upgraded the braking system. So of course, this car now has power brakes. It is 4 piston calipers up front. So you have big discs in the front. Of course, we're still running the drum brakes in the back, but again, most of the car's stopping power is from the front wheels. Well, I can't believe that is it. Sure, I'm going to post some videos when we take this car for a drive just to show you where we are and how the car rides. But basically, as far as me posting a video every couple of weeks showing you the progress, I'm done. The car is complete. So in that, I'd like to thank all of my subscribers for all of your suggestions, all of your help over the last couple of years. But a big shout out to Barry over at Joe Daddy's Garage. If you are considering the restoration of a classic car, be it a Mustang, be it a Camaro, whatever you want to restore, I wholly suggest you go visit Joe Daddy's Garage, because Barry has done that. He can show you exactly what you have to do, what you have to watch out for. I followed him religiously, and I think we've done a pretty good job. So once again, thank you all for joining me. Keep an eye out. I'm going to be posting a couple of videos of a few things that we'll be doing with this car. But until then, keep safe, and I'll see you on the road.